All right, welcome everybody. It is the last and final week we have ran that marathon. It is the end of Alien Earth. I am Dan. This is Tim. We have the Bone Bridger with us this week. The Bone Bridger
The
is
man, the
the
myth, the
biggest alien
legend.
fan we know. He is steeped in alien lore. It is like one of his favorite IPs and franchises. Uh, how do you feel? I mean, are you okay?
You know, I think back to Bambi, and when I was a kid, Bambi's pretty traumatizing. It's like next level. But imagine if in that Bambi scenario with Bambi and her mother, Alien Earth shows up in that scenario and just takes both of them out instead of the mother, just both of them. That's what it did to my love of the franchise because honestly, it went from I like gave it a lot of hope, a lot of optimism and credit for like 5 episodes, and then it got worse for me. But the last episode is what broke me. Like scene by scene, it just tore down everything that I because I hoped they were going to do something really creative, where everything they
Yeah,
had like mistakenly done was going to pay off differently. But we'll get
yeah.
into that, I'm sure. But it did not. There is no payoff in this episode.
Mhm.
No, there's a there's a setup. I feel like this is they're setting up season two at the end, right? Is that what they're doing, guys? I mean, can
That's
we
it.
could we make it through
That's
another
it.
season of that?
Yeah. Sadly, in their world, they think they did a really great setup for season 2. But all they
Mhm.
did was undermine the one character that was cool going into this episode, Kirsch. He was actually like clever. Like in the previous episode, oh, he outsmarted everyone. He had a plan. It was like orchestrated great. So at least everything else was dumb. He was being intelligent. But then in this episode, he was like, oh, I'm
Yeah,
dumb. I don't do that anymore.
yeah. I'm just gonna get broken half by a
Yeah, I'm
cyborg,
just gonna get broken half.
then tied to the wall. That was the grand scheme.
It's
We have a lot of
crazy.
comments. We're gonna let it. We're gonna get into the comments and see where they go. Barry Allen is slow. What the fresh hell is this? It is Disney, right? I mean,
Yeah. This is
I would jump down
this
here.
is this is a
Yeah,
this is a very typical Disney show. I yeah, every single aspect of this had the Disney fingerprints all over it, from the fact that they thought that they were so clever about all the little things that they did to try to make the story twist and try to make the story have unexpected things. They are not near as clever as they think they are, and it shows. This is acolyte bad, and I didn't think I would say that as somebody who does not like the Alien franchise as much as I like Star Wars. I was curious how Bonebringer would think about it, because me personally, Alien is one of the franchises I enjoy, but it's not like something I'm dyed in the wool. So it was I'm glad to hear that he and I are kind of in lockstep on this. I mean, it's bad, guys. It's really, really bad. This finale was one of the, I mean, everything that could be, every choice they made was the wrong choice. Every last one. So they did not pick one direction, one choice, one character, one thing to happen. They didn't pick anything to make it right. So fresh hell is the exact phrase I would use there.
In the back of my mind, I had
uh,
this hope at the end. At the very end, I was like, okay, look, this show could be the greatest show ever if they just do one thing. So when Wendy and the Lost Boys are like acting all tough and standing down all their prisoners that they've got in the end scene,
I
when the
thought the same
xenomorph
thing.
shows up, if
Hmm.
they had the guts to have this be a lesson on you can't control nature and like the predator aspect, and the xenomorph had killed
Absolutely.
Wendy and the season had
Absolutely.
ended there, I would honestly 10 out of 10. That means they set something up so perfectly where you never thought they would do the unthinkable, but they did the she just has a pet dog and it's a xenomorph.
yeah. It's just name our Eastern European friend or Pied Piper. I think is the translation is a 6.8 out of 10, which I think. I mean, just the season's over, guys. I think name's going to be higher than all of us. I think 6.8 is generous. What would you say, Bone Bridger? Like on a
Oof.
10
Oof. For the whole season, for the whole thing,
for the whole season? Yeah,
man. Yeah. I'm going like a 5 out of 10, and that's just because I like seeing the ship and that all that stuff, and yeah.
yeah. What about
And I
you,
really
Tim?
liked Timothy Oliphant's character until the last episode. I thought he was going to be the one that, like, like he was just going to run things at the end. Like he was going to be like really, really
Yeah,
cunning and stuff.
I feel like I say it was Acolyte bad, and when I say that, I say that it was Acolyte bad in the fact that it was a universe destroying series. I mean, it completely tears everything down to the studs.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Disney feels like they have to do. When I say that, the quality between this and the Acolyte, there's really no comparison. It's a much better produced show than the Acolyte. The Acolyte had, high school play sets that they were walking through with fog, and I can't ignore that. I didn't see the money there. I at least see the money here. I have real actors that were acting. I have real sets that were built to great specifications and looked very, very good. But I can't get over. I'm gonna have to give it like maybe a 2.5, and that's because this finale brought it down about 2 more points for me. Okay. If the finale had gone a different direction, like what Bone Bridger was talking about, I thought the exact same thing. I thought that xenomorph is going to kill Wendy and the Lost Boys,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll be nope. That's not what happened. I was waiting on, and then they did the worst possible thing at the end. They didn't let the xenomorph do anything. Not only did it not kill Wendy and the Lost Boys, it didn't kill all the quote unquote bad guys. And I, which is another thing we're going to get into, the fact that they tried to make us sympathetic to every single being in that room, and then try to tell us that they're all worthy of being locked up. And I don't know. So we didn't get to see it kill the bad guys. We didn't get to see it kill the good guys. We didn't get to see it do anything that it needs to do to be an Alien installment. I don't understand. So I don't know, Dan. What do you think? Where would you rate it?
This episode, I've been ranting every week about the music selection at the end, and this week we got Pearl Jam. And even though I graduated high school in 1997, so I should be just dyed in the wool alternative guy, I can't stand alternative. I can't stand Nirvana. I can't stand Pearl Jam. These guys made being a rock star seem less fun than working in a coal mine. And that's not what I need out of my rock stars. You see what I'm saying? But Pearl Jam was actually the perfect selection for this show because it's pretentious, it's self-important, it's over serious. It has the general vibes of things that are way better. Like sometimes the guitar sounds like Jimi Hendrix, sometimes it sounds like Stevie Ray Vaughan. Sometimes Eddie Vedder can sound like Jim Morrison. You know what I'm saying? But like Stevie Ray Vaughan is great. Jimi Hendrix is great. Jim Morrison is great. Pearl Jam is not great. They're just evoking a vibe in service of garbage. And that's all this show was able to do. It gave you like, it felt like for the few scenes in episode 1, and then for most episode 5, you got the feel, you got the ambience of watching Alien. But the story was never as good as watching Alien. You know what I'm saying? And Alien in episode 2, you got the ambience of watching Aliens. But it was, so no, this is, and see, the other thing is my member berries didn't get tickled as great because we're not as dyed in the wool. You know what I'm saying? In Alien. So I didn't have, it's fond, but not as fond. So I'm down there at 2 with you, Tim, because God, and it makes me more frustrated. You had good actors, you had good sets, you had good production, and this is the story you decided to put it in service of. There's so many ways you can go.
Exactly.
So Let's see. What do we got in the next in the comments? This show was bad, but this finale was even worse. No loose ends tied up, no ties into existing following stories, just a lame setup for season 2. Trash. So, do we feel like they resolve anything at all?
In a negative
No.
way, I say they resolve things. Like, I think they resolve certain characters in a bad way. So in the end, Kirsch, not smart, not cunning, not intelligent, even though he was in the episode before. Cyborg, also reckless, out of control, still not powerful and strong, just moody. Just a moody teenager is what he acts like, even though he's an old cyborg. The big reveal of, oh, boy genius made a synth and that's who that old guy is, could have been cool if they let him be like, oh, he's on the internet. Wendy just turns him off. Beep. I like, every character has this weird, like, they did the worst thing they could do with any of them. Some of them they should have just left untouched, and at least it'd been like, well, I wonder what happens with them.
Yeah, I think in the last episode, they like everything was so awful. It firmly established when I wrote all the names down so I can get them right. Hermit, who is Wendy's brother, in the struggle with the eyeball alien, right? He locks himself in the containment unit that it's been stuck in for like 4 or 5 episodes. So you got to think days, weeks, I don't know. And now that it's not in the sheep, it very easily just gets into the containment unit through the feeding door. So doesn't that mean at any moment it could have just abandoned the sheep and got out through the same food door? I mean,
yeah, and this is exactly what I was talking about when I said, that the writers from the finale and the previous episode, it's like they never talked to each other. It's very much like Rings of Power. Remember when the dude got stabbed in the second to last episode of Rings of Power, and the music stops. The music stops, and they zoom in, and there's this big dramatic moment, and you don't see him again to the finale. All right. And in the finale, they start showing him and he's like doing flips and killing orcs and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And that's exactly how it was with this. It was just like, oh, there's this alien that's kind of like an octopus with an eye. And oh, well, that what if we made it so that it could just get into the thing that it's been locked into this whole time very easily? And and there's a lot of other stuff that just didn't tie in. It didn't make sense with a lot of other characters. And what they really tried to do throughout the course of the series that was really, really weird, they tried to take each one of these people that are actually really bad people and tried to make them somewhat sympathetic. Remember that they had the whole thing with Morrow with his daughter on the beach, remember? And then they had the whole thing with this lady, what was her name? Dame, I think was her name, was
Dame Sylvia,
the wife of Arthur. Yeah. So Dame, she was like, oh, she's just so sorry for these kids. She's at their graves laying flowers down and stuff. And then of course there was Curse. They tried to make you sympathetic with the whole time because he was slightly more likable than Mara was, but the whole thing was just ridiculous, man. They tried to make us sympathetic towards these people, but you can't really do that with the people that you're trying to tell us are the quote unquote real monsters, right? That's what that's the name of the episode, the real monsters. So the implied thing that you're trying to tell us there is everybody locked in that cage was the real monster. Okay, but you tried to make us like them this whole time. It was really lazy and bad writing. It filled a lot of space. That's really the only reason they did it. I feel like that's just one of the problems that Disney has. They feel like they need to fill space. They feel like they need to take time. They feel like they need to try to throw some wrinkles in and some things that are going to make people kind of feel some sort of way. But at the end of the day, it's just lazy and bad. Right? It feels like it was written by AI. It doesn't feel like it was written by people.
Right. I'm with that. Yeah.
Everybody
I think
in
the
that
writing
room
was weak.
Yeah. Everybody in that room is totally unmolested by the xenomorph at the end. because the writers think that we all desperately want to see every one of those characters back in their season 2. We want Boy Cavalier, the Lost Boys, more Moro. They think we want all of that. And again, this show had so many things. Like as a first draft or an outline, this could have worked. My big takeaway from this, like the real monsters, and if you wrote down an outline of what happened, the Lost Boys did a true heel turn in this episode. Like it was a full on, they should be afraid of us. Let's go get them. And then they start intimidating people. And if that was a true heel turn, because the problem is in tone, it's in execution, it's in the way they shoot it, the way they portray it. They don't act like it's a heel turn. They act like this is a huge moment for the audience too. Like these kids are being empowered. Way to go, kids. Like we're supposed to be rooting for them. But no, they're the real monsters. They're going to proceed to go around here attacking, and guilty and innocent alike. And it's just, they can't commit to any of these better ideas that are just right there in front of them. It's just right there. The xenomorph kills everybody. The kids do a real heel turn and they're dangerous. Like you shouldn't play with nature. You should that's another, you shouldn't try to be immortal. You have wrecked their brains and now they're insane and they're psychopaths now, which Nibs is obviously a psychopath, but they don't lean into any of that. You're supposed to, we're supposed to feel bad. The Hermit and Wendy have a whole big conversation about how complicated it was that he stunned Nibs after she ripped a man's face off. She ripped I wonder if he's perfectly fine in a cell now after his face was ripped off. It's like it's not
well, and that's just another example, like I said, of the writers just not even the writers just not even really communicating with each other. That should have been one of those moments that, like from the previous episode, it bled into where there was all this tension between the two of them. There was none of that. Okay. It's like they didn't even know that previous episode existed and that's how the episode ended. It's like, it should have been something that was addressed very quickly and it was just kind of brushed over. So I don't know. The whole thing was just, it was just not, it was not well done.
The show had zero. This Thug Dog said has zero redeeming characters. Characters you thought they were setting up for sympathetic angles like Morrow or Kirsch were just tied up with the likes of Cavalier. Huge sign of bad writing. Can I tell you who in my desperate attempt to find a sympathetic character who I landed on was I got her name Siberian. It was the black Marine lady, the head Marine.
They got swallowed by the like hooded plant thing. Yeah.
And that's what they did to her. Actually, Hermit's whole, besides Hermit, who is not at all relatable, the Marines that he was in a group with, who all got slaughtered, by the wayside, were the only relatable characters I was left with. Did you guys have anybody to root for?
I got nobody. Maybe the eyeball.
Yeah,
the eyeball.
Yeah.
Tim, were you rooting for anyone?
Yeah. I really, I think
what
they
genre
kind of set up. Hey, hold on. They set up the dichotomy where you had to choose one of either Kirsch or Morrow. Okay, they kind of wanted you to pick one, right? And I picked Kirsch, honestly, because I just didn't care for Morrow's character. But at the very end, like I said, they both were in the cage, so it didn't really matter. So I feel like they didn't really try there. There was a lot of character development to be had with both of them that they just left on the table.
What genre were they trying for? Because the best genres for Alien, the first film is a horror movie. The second film is an action adventure film. This is neither, because horror and action adventure are subgenres of heroic fiction. Horror and action only work if you have a hero that you're rooting for. Neither genre works without somebody that you're pulling for. That's where the suspense comes from. They didn't give us that, so they weren't going for horror or action adventure. What were they? What is this? Is it a drama? Is it? It's not straight sci-fi. It's not serious enough for that, right?
It's not, and it's not deep enough to be like a deep level drama that makes you think about existence and human. Like the thing they were trying to nail down, like, are you human or robot? No, they all just went psycho. Like that was their answer to it, is that every single synthetic went absolutely off the rocker with real quick, like really fast. They don't even care about anything. They have no morality whatsoever. The whole like human part of it gone. Like none. Went from caring about Arthur on the beach, feeling bad for what had happened, to just people just getting turned to jelly. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, it's not deep, ponderous. The meaning of life, is that really you? If your conscience is transferred, that got thrown out the window. So it's not Blade Runner. I will say one of the best things I saw was a comment on another video. It said, when the Blade Runner show comes out, will we find out it's mostly about aliens? That was a question.
100%.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like the genre they were going for. I think that they thought when they were doing this that they had really nailed down an action adventure sci-fi show. I think they thought they had nailed that. What they had done was they had ended up doing a sci-fi show. And I think that's the problem. It's not an action adventure sci-fi show. It's just a sci-fi show. And this is just along the same lines as, what was that really, really lame, boring movie with Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence when they're on the spaceship and they wake up? And do you remember what was that one? Yeah, Passengers.
Oh.
This is pretty much that with the occasional xenomorph that shows up. That's pretty much what it was. So, I don't really have, it's just it's a sci-fi show. It's not a sci-fi show with action adventure like they thought it was. They thought they had nailed down the same genre as Aliens, but they hadn't. And that's the main issue. What people would have liked is something like Aliens.
Yeah. Morrow versus Curse was awful. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think the people at Disney think this is a banger. Like this is they think it's like, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We nailed it. We're so I just picture these guys writing these scenes like, oh, and like when they had the long talk with Wendy and she almost cries. And like, I know the actress is working hard, and it really is impressive that she can emote that much and show that much emotion. But the fact is, she's playing a character that no longer feels emotions.
Yeah.
So when like she gives the big watery eyes, like she's gonna burst into tears any moment, I thought she was gonna cry. And then I was gonna throw things at my television because I don't think synths can cry. So I don't know. It just anyway. Jon Snow knows nothing. Morrow versus Curse was awful. Season-long setup for a subpar battle. Were there any great fight scenes in this whole thing? Like, if they think they got an action adventure, where were the big action set pieces?
This should have been something that they built up, and there was tension, and like it should have been a moment where like Morrow's trying to get out, and Curse is like his only way out, and he has to go through Curse to get there. And there's an epic, huge battle between the two of them. And it would have been great, but they didn't do it that way at all. They just happened to come across each other and start fighting each other. And, they both end up kind of beating each other up. And then Curse kind of gets his back broken and is useless. And then the kids show up and knock the guy out with what? Like a fire hydrant, a fire extinguisher or something. And it's like,
yeah,
this was really lame. This was really, really lame. The last time I was this disappointed in a battle that was clearly set up by the writers, where the writers were like high-fiving each other and dumping Gatorade all over each other, thinking that they set this up, was Clegan Bowl. Do you guys remember the big setup for Clegan Bowl?
Yeah.
Was like,
Hound and Mountain.
when we see the Hound in the mountain, it's going to be amazing. And it
Oh
was
yeah.
kind of lame. It was that one little fight they had on the staircase, and that was it, you know. And then they both end up dying anyway, so who cares, you know? The whole thing was just weird. So I just I just feel like this was one of those things that the writers really thought that they had in their back pocket. Well, no matter what, in that finale, we're going to have Kirsch versus Morrow, and it's going to be awesome. And it was just so lame. It was just like the rest of the series. It disappointed across the board.
Yeah. Let's see. What else do we have here? Uh-oh. There we go. This episode was not very good. A lot of great directions to go, and they chose the worst ones. Credit. You got that. They did it all season. Like, I got deep.
He liked the show this whole time. Remember that. He liked the show this whole time. This was the guy that was calling us crazy and haters and all that kind of stuff. So
there were so many. I've been griping the whole time. Like, just last episode, what's her name? I got it right here. The kiss ass, Curly. So Curly goes to visit. Yeah, she went to visit Sylvia last episode and called her mom. Right?
Yes.
And I had this whole thing planned out where the reveal was going to be that Curly was Sylvia and Arthur's daughter, and that Sylvia and Arthur had created this technology, and that Prodigy had just funded it to save their terminally ill daughter. And I had this whole storyline reveal planned in my head that, like, nothing, that wasn't anything. Or even like all the way back, you knew that this was lazy writing when Wendy met Hermit, and you knew there would be a lot of tension if you could play this out for like 2 or 3 episodes of like him trying to figure out why she seems familiar, not knowing that that's his sister, her not telling him. And within 2 minutes of them meeting, one of the other Lost Boys goes, "That's your sister." And you're like, oh, that's what this show is.
Yeah.
That's how they're going to handle it. And then, like, you still at that moment thought, okay, well, that was a lost opportunity, but maybe they have some good things in store. They did not.
They did not.
That was, let's see. Why make Dame care so much about the kids' graves? Wouldn't the ending have made a lot more sense if she was just heartless?
If anybody was that way, right? If the, you know, even Cavalier, they really tried to pull on you a little bit. It just is so weird, man. Like, you know, just perfect opportunity to just have a bad guy, and they just couldn't get out of their own way. They couldn't decide who the bad guy was. So they're like, oh, it's all these people. All these people are the bad guys. Yeah. You know, you can't do that.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, because at the end, we're supposed to sympathize with Wendy, and I know Cavalier did awful things, but were they substantially more awful than all the things Wendy did? Not really.
No,
like, you know,
at the end, they're the evil people. Like the Lost Boys are the evil ones.
Yeah, it just, you know, and that could have played well if they had embraced. If they had stopped trying to make them, because as soon as they turn evil, we get yet another flashback of Wendy, whatever her name was when she was an actual person, and Hermit exchanging letters. And I'm like, really? It's a little late in the game to have these sympathy building flashbacks, but they took the time to do it just to let you know, hey, you're not supposed to dislike her now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it was weird.
Perfect opportunity. Boy meeting Xenomorph in the hallway, but he survives because reasons.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as we saw the Xenomorph was there, we all were like, okay, so we're gonna see him like devour Boy Cavalier, and that's gonna be the thing that they've been building towards this whole time. No, not even sort of. I don't understand. There's 2 other guys that show up and they get eaten by the Xenomorph, but not Boy Cavalier. He's fine. You know, I think that, and again, at the very end, nothing happens, right?
Nothing happens.
So either they want us to believe that these people are going to be in season 2 and that's why they did it, or they want us to just imply what happens as soon as it goes to credits, which is the worst possible thing they could have done. You want me to imply that she sicked the xenomorph on all of them? No, just show that. You know what I mean?
Well,
I don't know what they were trying to get at there, but the whole thing was just weird.
The fact that Cavalier even has this showdown with the xenomorph, just a couple scenes earlier, he went to confront the insane psychopath hybrid superpowered synths and taunt them and call them names. And he brought one security guard with a pistol. That's what he brought with him. Not 10, not 20. They didn't have any of those spiffy rifles like Hermit had last episode, which knocks them out. I mean, you should have brought at least one person with a rifle for each of them. That way,
and
you know,
Dan,
yeah.
Dan, were you waiting on the RoboCop moment? I was waiting on the RoboCop moment, right? Where they go to try to kill him, and then they can't because of how he programmed them or something, right? There was a perfect opportunity for a moment like that, and they didn't do it, right? There's so many things that I feel like these writers don't want to go with the obvious. They wanted to go with something new and fresh and different and unexpected. But the obvious in a series like this is kind of what the audience is tuning in for. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see the xenomorph devour Boy Cavalier. I want to see all the things that I expect, you know?
Yeah, but you could be surprising, but you can't make your characters dumb for the surprise. So, like, he calls them names, and they let him run away, and then Nibs pummels his guard to death in front of everybody.
Right, and no one cares.
And no one cares. Yeah, no one cares at all. You know?
They're all
nobody's just like, stop. Oh, stop. Wait. Yeah. That's not. Nope. They don't care.
Nope. Next scene, Smee and Slightly are again feeling bad about what they did to Arthur, but they are not feeling bad about watching Nibs pummel a man to death. That is, and they were mad at Kid Cavalier. They let him get away, but the guard, he needed to be pummeled to death. That's what needed to happen. And it's just another thing. Kid Cavalier is set up as a super genius. Why would a super genius create this kind of technology with no fail safes? Like, he should have had the RoboCop moment. They should have not been able to attack him. Should have been able to turn him off at any time. And he's going to sell these things to the rich and powerful around the world. And I saw this in another review. So wouldn't he have built in a back door to control the rich and powerful people that pay him to be put in these bodies? So. Like, wouldn't that be almost the whole point?
And wouldn't, I mean, you know, you and I talked about this previously, Dan, this 6-week thing, this arbitrary 6-week timeline that they have, where they have the specimens for 6 weeks and then Yutani takes control of them. It's so weird. It made no sense at the time. It still makes no sense in the finale. I don't know, man. This whole thing, just trying to piece all of this together into one story is very hard. And I still don't know what got resolved. What no. You know, every story has to have a problem that gets resolved. That's what makes it a story. There is no problem here that's been resolved. And so I feel like this is just lazy writing.
But you have to watch season 2.
It just feels bad.
You have to watch. Yutani is on their way to the island. Like, we see Yutani
for some reason
on their ship.
Don't really understand that
exactly.
either.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, why is Yutani on her way?
Yeah, she would totally be on that ship. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, personally.
Yeah.
Personally.
She doesn't have like people for that. You know what I mean? Like, she's one of the richest people in the world. She doesn't have people that can just go do this, right? I mean, you know. Makes no sense.
Communication at all. It's all blacked out, but she's sure it's perfectly safe. Like, Morrow, you have absolute confidence that this man who let the ship crash in the middle of Prodigy territory has totally got this handled. The island is totally under control, and I'm in no danger at all. But again, we've watched these movies, and Bumberger, you've watched more of them more closely than us. Has there ever been a mention of Prodigy at the company before, or is that a new creation?
No, it really just focuses on Utani, Wayland Utani, all that throughout the different movies and stuff. But I was trying to think
So
of anything, and honestly, this is what Disney does though, because they turn it into a show. So at least with the
yeah,
movies, you had this like story that had a beginning and a middle and an end, whether it was good or bad. We don't have a
yeah,
beginning, middle, and end. And that's infuriating for a show that wasn't short,
yeah,
wasn't low budget, wasn't an indie show. It had an enormous budget with a really quality cast, and they used them in the worst way possible.
Yeah,
yeah. And it's just,
absolutely.
and they, well, because they want to string you along. They think that like,
Yeah.
okay, we'll do another season and another season, the other thing is you picked a prequel, and you picked a prequel that's only set like, what is it, 4 or 5 years before the original film. So
Yeah, the
you don't
timeline's
have a lot
weird.
of
If
long runway.
if they had the xenomorph just spike Wendy and pick her up at the end and just cut to black, they don't realize it. Everyone would have been back for season 2
Mhm.
because it would have been like, wait,
Yeah,
like despite my frustrations, that last 5 seconds made it worth it because it undid all that junk.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
payoff would have been so good, but you could tell they're bad writers because they're afraid to do the thing that you need to do, where you take
Yeah.
all this hubris, unstoppable superpower Lost Boy team that's acting ridiculous, and you bring them down to earth real quick. You humble them
Yeah.
in a second, where it's no, this is a creature.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It's a killing machine, and you
Yeah.
can't control
God,
it.
they missed an opportunity. Like that moment could have changed everything, but no.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, that really could have. But and honestly, they keep thinking they've created suspense, but there's no suspense because Utani's on her way there. Nothing bad is going to happen to her. But
Mhm.
this is a
No.
prequel, so we know that Wayland Utani. We know that Prodigy is no longer a thing, most likely, and that
Mhm.
Wayland Utani is.
Mhm.
So she's going to get there and she's going to take control of whatever's going on.
Yeah. This
Wendy
is the
isn't
problem with
ruling anything.
prequels too. They really shouldn't
Yeah.
have tried to fit it in. Like they should have done later because then or they should have just not said when. Just ignore it. Just
Right.
this is happening,
Yeah. This is
I
happening.
don't understand. I don't understand why they had to introduce a second company to begin with. What Wayland Yutani is one of those companies. It's one of those corporate villains, and they've somehow it's Skynet, it's InGen, it's just like those, right? And they've taken Wayland Yutani and they've made it like second tier evil to Prodigy in this show. And it's just like you've essentially made us sympathetic toward Yutani. And we shouldn't be. Like that's the evil corporate villain of this cinematic series. It makes no sense. And so the whole thing with Prodigy and Wayland Yutani was just it just felt like they were trying to fill space to me.
Yeah. I don't know. Not only can Wendy talk to xenomorphs, she can summon them telepathically. I don't speak fluent Xeno, but I'm pretty sure she said to me, my xenomorphs. Yeah. It got very it got very Queen of Dragons, to refer back to another show that ended very poorly, but at least had good seasons at the beginning.
Really
it got very very bend the knee. At least when she went crazy.
Gosh, Dan, you're right. This is the Game
we
of
were
Thrones
supposed
finale.
to.
Right.
It is.
Yeah, but when she had a heel turn, like they didn't earn it. You feel like the heel turn came out of nowhere, even though you could kind of see it coming. But like they played it as a heel turn. Like, oh no, she's went batshit and she's the bad guy now. Whereas when Wendy did it, they were like, "Isn't this so exciting?"
Yeah.
It's like, no.
I got a crash. I'm afraid I'm fading fast, but I have to bring up one last thing about the episode. The dumbest thing to me when I knew that this episode was going to get real dumb was that the soldier, the guard that's guarding the cyborg, of course he has the key to the cyborg arm. Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing? The one guard, and I'm like, really? Like, are we doing this? Like, is Kirsch somehow that dumb after the episode before he was like
Yeah.
so cool, calm, and
Kirsch-
collected and captured the xenomorph and like all this?
Mhm.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
but no, that was part of his grand. You know what? We're gonna find out in season 2 that this is still all part of Kirsch's plan.
Yeah, it's part of his
Having
plan.
there,
Good. He
his
planned to get his back broken.
being tied to the cage. He's exactly where he wants to be right now, guys.
You're probably right, and that's horrifying. And here's the thing. I think the good thing about this show is we're going to know how big of a failure it was, because if they green light it, it's not just because it's quality, because they're not going to pull an Andor here, where Andor season 2 gets made for a crazy budget. Some people really love it. Viewership does not justify the budget. It lost money for Disney Plus. I don't think they greenlight Alien Earth 2 if this didn't do well enough. So I think they'll actually not do a season 2.
Well, we
And
know.
I don't think
we
it's
know
because they
that
didn't like it.
We know that it didn't do well on cable, and so the
Right.
question is, how did it do on stream? And
How did it do
and
on
right-
streaming? Now,
Yeah,
I think they like it, but we're going to find out, because I think they're not going to waste money on it again. Like, I think that they could maybe quantify it and be like, well, compared to other shows we do, it is the step in the right direction. Because I wouldn't be surprised if the viewership's better than like some of the garbage they make, because it was like frustrating enough to watch. Like, I needed to watch and get frustrated. I didn't want to stop watching. Whereas like certain Disney Plus shows, you just want to stop. Like, you don't want to, like, they're a waste of time.
Yeah, this was the kind where there was like quality elements to where you could watch it and be like, why didn't they do this? Like,
Right.
like the good stories were like fruit on the vine everywhere. You're like, oh, if they went this direction, that would have been great.
That'd have been great. Yeah.
If they'd have done this, that would have been interesting. Yeah. But
I gotta run, but I watched Marvel Zombies, so if you guys decide to talk about that, people, we can do that. I finished it, so
hey, definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
it's a thing.
All right. Yeah, maybe we'll do Marvel Zombies. Man. Yeah. We
Glad I
don't
could join
have
you
a
guys.
firm set for next week. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Thanks for stopping in.
Take
See you
care,
guys.
buddy.
The Bone Bridger.
Yeah. See you, everybody.
All right.
See you, buddy.
See you, guys. See you. That was great.
Oh, man.
I liked having it. Was so great to have Bone Bridger here, because we finally had somebody who like is steeped
An
in
alien fan. Yeah. That way we don't
Yeah.
just look like haters that are coming at this from 180 feet. It's somebody who actually loves the franchise, and he is on the same page as us. So yeah.
And you're as a casual, me and you both go into any kind of Marvel or Star Wars project with a high level of trepidation, because we've been burned so many times.
Exactly. I mean, we did that before the movies were even a thing, right? Like, Dan, I mean, we've been burned. We've been burned on so many runs of comic series that we don't trust anybody with the stuff that we know and love. And when we watched very cautiously every Saturday morning when X-Men the animated series or Spider-Man the animated series would come on, saying, what are they going to do to screw up what I knew about Spider-Man previously? So this isn't new. This isn't something that we just do in our 40s and have this nostalgia pull from our childhood. We legitimately have done this our whole lives, because we've been burned by literally everybody. We've been burned by people who you think are geniuses have absolutely ruined certain stories of ours. And so that's why we can't look at this with anything but a critical eye.
Yeah, because I could say we hate the prequels. We hated the prequels. We still hate the prequels.
Yeah.
And I will enrage a huge set of Disney Star Wars haters in saying that I got burned by the extended universe novels. Like, I love them. I bought Heir to the Empire as a paperback when it was still on store shelves, and I read all of those novels. And at a certain point, I can't remember the name of the book, but they killed Chewbacca. and they turned one of Han and Leia had 3 kids in the novels,
Yes.
but they started turning them to the dark side, and they killed Chewbacca, and I was out, and I was like, you know what? So I got burned there too. The people who have been burned by the Disney still think all of the EU stuff was amazing, and it was for a while. But those things that we hold so dear, we're always trepidatious. But with Alien, I'd never been truly burned. Some of the projects weren't great. You know what I'm saying?
This is one of those series where, like, when it starts getting like noticeably hilariously bad, that you could just stop watching. And that's what I did, and after Alien 3, I was like, you know what, guys, I've already got my fill. Alien 1 and 2, I'm good. And then Alien 3 I went and saw, and I'm like, you know what, I don't need to see any of these other ones that come after us. I don't need to see AVP. I don't need to see Covenant. I don't need to see Romulus. I don't need to see all this, because you know what, I'm good. So my disappointment level for Alien, it ended at Alien 3, right? Know, and that's where a lot of these people, it's just like, because it's not Star Wars, and I didn't absolutely positively, beyond a shadow of a doubt, have to go see it. Then that's the reason that I feel like I'm kind of looking at this series and saying, where did this all go wrong?
Yeah, because we came in clean, and because we haven't been burned, and the commercials look decent. Like, I had a fairly good expectation I was going to like this show. Like, I thought I was going to like it. I really did. I go into most of the Marvel or Star Wars shows thinking I'm probably not going to like it. That's just where I am now. But with this, even though it's Disney, I thought I'm going to like this. And then I watched it. It's just, I had no reason to think I wouldn't like it, because I'm not,
exactly.
They could have made mistakes with canon and timelines. It wouldn't have hurt my feelings. You know what I'm saying?
No.
When the show itself is boring and stupid, and you want me to root for a psychopathic little girl in a robot body who kills people with her pet xenomorph, I mean, I don't know. The eye could have escaped the whole time. Yeah, Jon Snow knows other was ahead of me. It seems like something that would have happened if it was true. Did it just really, at one point you're like, did it just really like the sheep? Did it dig being a sheep? But it didn't, because when they opened when it was set loose in the room with Hermit, it jumped right out of the sheep. It was like, ooh, yeah, a person. And so you would think it would have went out through the food door and found one of those guards that's always they're never guarding anything, but whenever you need somebody to die conveniently, they're around. So the worst possible ending is Cavalier not getting devoured by an alien and a super lane setup for a second season. Both boxes checked, which they were thoroughly. Yeah, they honestly think that they couldn't kill a single one of those characters because they thought we wanted to see all of them again.
Well, and it almost makes me wonder, were all of their contracts for a certain amount of episodes? That's what it makes me think. It makes me think they're going to film and release a second season just to fulfill the contracts with those actors, and that's a terrible, terrible idea. Yeah, that's what Rings of Power. That's the money pit that Rings of Power is stuck in right now.
Yeah, and they managed to kill the one character that I was kind of still rooting for, which was Siberian, which was the Marine. And I think the only reason I still liked those Marines is they had been given very little screen time, and so the writers did not have an opportunity to make them awful or stupid, which they would have if they had been more pivotal to the story. And Thug Dog just wants to let us know that they tricked us with Black Sabbath and Tool. That ending with Pearl Jam was poetic for this series. Fans will love it, but not be able to tell you why. And Thug Dog is a man after my own heart, because that is exactly what they will do. They will. Oh, it's deep. It's deep though. And that fans of the show are trying to tell people who don't like it that they just don't get it.
Yeah.
Which is what the Andor people said. And
it insists upon itself, Lois. It insists upon itself,
yeah.
It's
And here's the thing, man. It's okay to like okay, after watching this, neither you or I liked Andor season 2, right? But I will go back and tell you that Andor season 2 was like far and away better than this.
I think Daredevil
You
was
know what I'm
better.
saying?
I think Daredevil was better than this.
Yeah.
I think a lot, I have not watched all of Ironheart, but I doubt I would be as disappointed in this as I was in Ironheart. In Ironheart as I was in this. I I cannot really think of anything that I've watched recently that has just been such an epic failure in storytelling. This was something that just didn't have any of the elements that you need to make anything compelling. And I feel like this is kind of what Disney has done now. I know we talk about how they ruin these IPs. We talk about it all the time. But one of the things that I always think is just weird is that there should be some like cult following, like fanatical base that really, really, really wants to see a good alien show. Like there should be a bunch of people that really, really want that. And Disney, even with all the resources they have, and even with all the promotion and the fact that they put this on cable, they still were not able to get anybody interested in watching this show. The premiere, which was a 2-episode premiere, only garnered 500 and some thousand people watching. I mean, that is just not going to get it done. That's not going to be considered good enough. And there are tons of very, very passionate Alien fans. This should have been something that they all were just, jonesing to see. They should have just been chomping at the bit saying, we're finally going to get a TV series. Let's plan our lives around it. And they couldn't even get those people. So I just don't know how in the world they're going to do that with bigger IPs like Star Wars and Marvel. That just it's kind of like a microcosm of what they've done with those bigger IPs. Josh, what's up?
Welcome, Josh. Hey, how's it going? Hopefully things are going good on the homestead. We are still watching terrible television shows. We attempted to find one that we wouldn't hate, and we failed. We totally failed. We thought this one we would actually sort of maybe like it, but we did not. We did not. We made it all the way through Alien Earth, and it was awful. And the people who like it, I will just say, like, it's okay to like dumb things, right? Like, just say, I really like the sets and the actors and the vibe, and it didn't bother me that the story was dumb. If you enjoyed it and can admit that, that's fine. I enjoyed a Minecraft movie. If you tell me it was dumb, I'm not going to tell you it wasn't. It was very dumb. It was exceptionally dumb, but it didn't bother me. It was kind of funny and had bright colors, and I had fun when I watched it.
Yep.
So
I'm in the middle of
okay.
Twisted Metal, and it's a lot of fun, right? Twisted Metal is a lot of fun, and it is very stupid. Like, it's really stupid, but it is a lot of fun. You know what I mean? Like, I enjoy watching it because it's fun. And, so yeah, you can like dumb things. Dan is right. There's nothing wrong with saying it was stupid and I liked it, right? But this is a whole other level of stupid that Dan and I just can't get behind.
Twisted Metal is a lot. We're gonna try to within the next 2 or 3, like maybe next week or the week after, somewhere in there, we're gonna dive into Twisted Metal. I have watched none, and Tim is halfway through season 2, And I'm going to try to get season 1 and 2 watched within the next week and a half, so that we can do Twisted Metal. We are
for sure.
desperate to watch something and talk about it that is not awful. That is, and like honestly, we thought we had no anticipation that we were going to be coming on and bashing this show. We thought we would say that it was at least decent.
Yeah. and I mean, and honestly, if you just watch the first 2 episodes, you would think, you know what? I got my fill. Alien stuff is good. The plot line is decent. The sets look good. The acting is good. Yeah, you watch the first 2 episodes and just walk away. You'll get your fill of what you need from this series. But starting in episode 3, that's when everything started to unwind with me. And from there, it's like everything just kept falling. It's like when John Wick got pushed down the stairs in John Wick 4, and he just kept falling down 200 stairs. Over in that scene went on for way too long of him just falling down the stairs.
Yeah.
That's what this show was. It just kept going down the stairs as the series continued. And so I feel like this is, this is definitely something that after the first 2 episodes, just never could recover.
Episode 5 broke me. That's the everybody's favorite episode, which is usually the thing for me.
Not me.
The one that everybody likes. The one that everybody likes is the one that ruins it for me. You were ahead of me on not liking it, and I was still trying to give it a chance. And the thing was, the hints of quality of episode 5 just broke me. It infuriated me. Like I like turned it off, and it was like trim 5 minutes out of that and change a couple things around, and that should have been episode 1. And the whole thing worked so, and I was so mad that they had done that it just broke my brain. I couldn't understand why, but now I do. I understand they did it because the show is awful, and that it's just one of many very terrible decisions they made.
Yeah.
So, that's gonna wrap up. May we never speak of it. If they make a season 2, I
would rather like have my tongue nailed to this table. I mean, I would rather do a lot of things than watch season 2 of this show. There is just, I can't even fathom what season 2 would be like. Like it would be absolutely atrocious. So I'm not even going to get into that.
As this show progressed, as the next episode was coming, it was kind of like, I don't care. I don't care about any of these characters. I don't care what happens next. I can't imagine, like, who cares about a whole nother season with no characters to root for? Like,
that's just it, man.
Would anybody care?
They're hoping there's going to be some kind of like a cult following. And there's just things in here that they just changed. Like Dan mentioned it to me before. He said, "Hey, since when are xenomorphs not black? Right? Like xenomorphs are always known as giant black aliens, right? Like it's not just the lighting. Like we've seen well-lit xenomorphs and they're very clearly black. But no, they're kind of like some deep chocolate brown, and Dan and I were talking about that. We're like, weird, So there's just a lot of things that were just not really well explained.
And hey,
why
can't the sympathetic xenomorph be black, Disney? What's that about?
Exactly.
all of a sudden, you need a high yellow xenomorph to make it sympathetic. You need a house xenomorph. Yeah. Is that what you need? Disney.
See, that's all we need to do in order to get our black xenomorph back is just tell Disney that they're not being diverse enough in their. They took a black xenomorph's job. So it's ridiculous.
Anyway, until next week, where we're gonna talk about either Peacemaker, maybe we'll do Marvel Zombies, that we're gonna do one of those next week, and then after that we are gonna do Twisted Metal. And we'll see you again. But until then, Tim, OH.
IO.
All right.